All right, so are you ready to dive into the world of Elon Musk?
Always ready for a deep dive, especially on someone like Musk. I mean,
Yeah, he's a pretty fascinating guy, right? You guys sent in a ton of articles, research, even some personal notes, which is awesome. I mean, it seems like you already know a lot about him, so
yeah.
our mission
Yeah,
today isn't to just like scratch the surface. We're going way beyond the headlines to try and figure out what makes this guy tick,
absolutely.
what challenges he might be facing down the road. And what's really interesting to me is how he went from being this kid who was just obsessed with computers
Right.
to becoming like this larger than life innovator.
Yeah. His story is kind of mind-blowing when you really think about it. I mean, selling his first video game at 12 years old.
Yeah, 12 years old.
Come on, that's not your average kid.
That's not like setting up a lemonade stand.
No.
That's like a straight up entrepreneur in the making.
Yeah.
And that drive, that's something we see throughout his entire career.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not just about the money for him either. It's about pushing boundaries, taking on these huge challenges. Like with PayPal, for example, that was a game changer.
Huge. I mean, that sale to eBay.
Massive, $1.5 billion. It was more than just a financial win, though.
Oh, yeah.
It was fuel for the fire.
Mm.
It gave him the resources to chase these almost impossible dreams.
And that leads us perfectly into Tesla. I mean, think about it. Back when Tesla first started, most people thought electric cars were just a fad.
Right, a toy for the rich.
Yeah, a toy for rich people. But they proved everyone wrong.
They did. They made electric cars cool, they made them practical, and most importantly,
Yeah.
they addressed that whole range anxiety issue with the supercharger network.
Yeah.
And then they packed the cars with all this cutting-edge tech.
Yeah. It's like they created this whole ecosystem around electric vehicles.
Exactly. And I think that's the real aha moment here. So sustainability doesn't have to mean sacrificing performance
Right.
or innovation. In fact,
It can go hand in hand.
exactly. Tesla's success has literally forced the entire automotive industry to play catch up.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's like he single-handedly shifted the trajectory of an entire industry.
Yeah.
But as much as Tesla is focused on revolutionizing things here on Earth,
Right.
he's also got his sights set on something even bigger,
Oh, yeah.
colonizing Mars with SpaceX.
Now, that's a dream I think everyone has had at some point.
Right. I mean, wasn't that like every kid's fantasy growing up?
Absolutely. It taps into that innate human desire to explore the unknown,
For sure.
to push beyond our limits. And while the idea of colonizing Mars might seem like science fiction,
Yeah,
SpaceX has actually made some pretty incredible strides.
they have.
I mean, they're launching rockets, they're
Yeah.
sending astronauts to the International Space Station,
Yeah.
and they're developing Starship, which is designed specifically for interplanetary travel.
It's mind-boggling to think about the scale of what they're attempting. But then you have Neuralink,
Yeah.
which is almost like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
Oh, yeah.
They're developing brain-computer interfaces.
It's wild.
It's insane. I was reading about how these interfaces could potentially help people with neurological disorders.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, imagine being able to restore movement to someone who's paralyzed, or
Right.
helping someone with Alzheimer's regain lost memories.
The potential for medical breakthroughs is just enormous.
Yeah.
And beyond that, Neuralink is exploring ways to enhance human capabilities.
Hold on. And enhance human capabilities.
Yeah,
That's where things start to get a little unsettling for me.
I get it.
Are we talking about creating superhumans here? Where do we draw the line?
It's a valid concern, and it's one that Musk himself has acknowledged.
No.
The ethical implications of this technology are huge, but at its core, Neuralink is about pushing the boundaries of what's possible with the human brain.
Right.
It's about exploring the uncharted territory of our own minds.
It's almost like he's playing this high-stakes game of chess with the future, making these bold moves that simultaneously excite and terrify us.
Yeah, he's definitely not afraid to take risks.
No, he's not.
And that brings us to the Boring Company and the Hyperloop.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about that. I mean, traffic is the bane of everyone's existence. And here's Musk proposing underground tunnels and pods that shoot through them at crazy speeds.
He's not just trying to improve existing transportation systems.
No.
He's aiming to completely reinvent them.
It's wild.
Yeah.
And some people might call it impractical or even a little crazy.
Yeah.
But you can't deny the ambition behind it.
Absolutely. He's looking at problems from a completely different angle.
He's definitely not afraid to think outside the box, that's for sure. So we've got this incredible picture of Musk's current ventures, but this is just the beginning, right? We've
Yeah.
got to talk about what lies ahead.
Yeah.
What's next on his agenda? I'm particularly fascinated by his plans for Mars colonization.
Yeah,
Is SpaceX really going to get us there?
that's the question, isn't it? The big one, the engineering challenges alone are just
It
astronomical.
does sound kind of impossible.
I mean, just think about it for a second. Developing life support systems, creating habitats that can withstand that harsh Martian environment, figuring out how to produce food and resources on a planet that basically has nothing.
Right. It's like starting from scratch.
Yeah, exactly.
But then again, people probably said the same thing about landing a rocket vertically, and SpaceX managed to pull that off.
They did, didn't they?
So I guess the real question is, are we actually close to becoming this multiplanetary species, or is that still just a pipe dream?
It's tough to say for sure. But even if colonizing Mars takes longer than Musk anticipates the technologies being developed along the way, I think those are going to have a huge impact on life here on Earth.
Oh, absolutely.
Advances in rocketry materials, science, sustainable living systems, all of that can be applied to solving problems closer to home.
Yeah, it's like a win-win situation no matter what happens.
Exactly.
But while SpaceX is reaching for the stars, Tesla is busy changing the game down here on Earth.
Right.
They've gone way beyond just electric vehicles now. They're diving into self-driving technology and even building AI-powered robots.
Those Tesla bots are a perfect example of how intertwined Musk's companies often are.
Oh, for sure.
The AI being developed for self-driving cars that can also be applied to robotics.
It's like a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, exactly. And who knows, maybe someday we'll see those robots working alongside humans on Mars.
Wow, that's kind of a crazy thought. Robots building habitats on Mars while we're still stuck in traffic here on Earth.
I know, right?
Speaking of which, what about those tunnels and hyperloops? Do you really think the Boring Company is going to solve our traffic problems?
It's a radical solution, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to remember that Musk is all about tackling those seemingly impossible challenges.
Right.
He's not content with incremental improvements. He wants to completely reimagine how things work.
Okay, I have to ask about this Twitter, or I guess we should call it X now.
Yeah, the big X.
Since Musk bought it and started shaking things up, it's been a wild ride.
It has been.
Free speech debates, content moderation, changes that whole everything app concept. Is this a brilliant move or a total disaster waiting to happen?
It's definitely a gamble, and it's one that has sparked some pretty intense debate.
Oh yeah, for sure.
On one hand, you have people who see X as a potential catalyst for a more open and decentralized internet, a platform where ideas can flow freely without censorship.
Right.
But on the other hand, there are serious concerns about misinformation harassment, the erosion of trust in a platform that's supposed to be a source of reliable information.
It's a tough balance.
It really is. It's like he's thrown a grenade into the social media landscape, and we're all waiting to see where the pieces land.
Yeah, good analogy. So then there's his whole stance on AI, which I find really interesting.
It's a bit of a paradox, isn't it?
It is. He's pouring money into AI research.
Right.
But at the same time, he's warning us about the potential dangers of AI run amok.
Right.
It's like he's both the creator and the critic.
It is a complex issue, and I think Musk's perspective highlights the importance of approaching AI development with caution and a clear set of ethical guidelines.
It's not just about what we can do. It's about what we should do.
Exactly. We have to think about the potential consequences.
Right. And even with the best intentions, even with careful planning, there are always challenges.
Always.
And Musk, despite all of his successes, he's not immune to setbacks.
Nobody is.
I mean, just look at the regulatory hurdles he's facing. Governments around the world are trying to figure out how to regulate these emerging fields.
Right. Space travel, AI, autonomous vehicles. It's a whole new landscape.
It is, and it's constantly changing. Could bureaucracy and red tape end up slowing down his progress?
Potentially. And then there are the financial risks.
Oh, yeah.
These ventures are incredibly capital intensive.
They are.
SpaceX launches cost millions of dollars.
Right.
Tesla is building these gigantic factories.
What?
Neuralink requires years of research and development.
So much money.
Could financial constraints, economic downturns, market fluctuations, could those things derail his plans?
It's a possibility.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole public perception factor. He's a controversial figure, to say the least.
He is.
He's outspoken, sometimes even reckless.
Yeah.
He's been accused of overpromising and underdelivering. He tweets memes. He gets into fights with politicians on Twitter. Could his own personality ultimately become a liability?
Public perception can be a powerful force, especially in the age of social media.
Oh, absolutely.
Musk's ability to navigate that landscape, I think that's going to be crucial to his long-term success.
For sure. So we've talked about regulation, money, public perception,
Yeah.
but there's one more challenge that I think is easy to overlook:
What's that?
the limitations of technology itself.
Ah,
What happens if the science just isn't there yet? What if Musk's ideas are simply ahead of their time?
that's the big question, isn't it? Can innovation keep pace with his ambition?
Only time will tell.
I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
From selling video games as a kid to launching rockets and building brain-computer interfaces, Elon Musk's journey has been anything but ordinary.
He's a fascinating figure, that's for sure.
He really is.
He embodies this relentless drive to push the boundaries of what's possible, to challenge the status quo, to make the seemingly impossible a reality.
But he's also a reminder that even the most ambitious dreams are met with challenges, setbacks, and sometimes even failures.
That's true. And it's those challenges, those moments of adversity that ultimately shape who we are and what we achieve.
As we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I'm left wondering, what will Musk's legacy ultimately be?
That is the question.
Will he be remembered as the man who took us to Mars, or the entrepreneur who revolutionized transportation and energy?
Or will it be something entirely different, something we can't even imagine yet? It's a question for the history books for sure, but I think it's also a question we can all kind of ponder right now. Like, what strikes me is that Musk isn't just building companies.
Yeah.
He's building a future that, for better or for worse, will be shaped by his vision and ambition.
You know, when I was going through all the material you guys sent in, I came across this quote from Musk, and it really stuck with me.
Oh, yeah. What was it?
He said, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he basically said, "I'd rather try to do something great and fail than do nothing at all."
I love that quote.
Yeah, it's powerful.
It really captures his mindset.
It does. It's like he's not afraid to take risks, to swing for the fences, even if it means striking out sometimes.
And that's such a powerful message, I think, for anyone.
Yeah.
Whether you're an entrepreneur, an artist, or just someone trying to make a difference in the world, it's a reminder that we shouldn't let the fear of failure hold us back.
Absolutely. We should be pursuing our passions, trying to make a dent in the universe.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes Musk such a compelling figure. He inspires us to dream bigger, to think outside the box, to believe that anything is possible if we're willing to put in the work and take the risk.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the final takeaway for our listener?
That's a good question. I think the biggest lesson here is the importance of audacity.
Audacity.
Yeah, the audacity to dream big, to challenge conventional wisdom, to push the boundaries of what's considered possible.
I like that.
Musk's story, it's a testament to the power of human ingenuity and that unwavering belief that we can achieve extraordinary things if we dare to try.
It's a story that reminds us that the future isn't something that just happens to us.
Right.
It's something we create.
We have the power to shape it.
And maybe, just maybe, if we embrace that same spirit of audacity, we can all play a part in shaping a future that's brighter, bolder, and more innovative than we ever thought possible.
Well said. And perhaps that's the most enduring legacy of Elon Musk, inspiring a new generation of dreamers, doers, and disruptors to push the limits of human potential and create a future worthy of our wildest imaginations.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the world of Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Huge thank you to you, our listeners, for providing the fuel for this incredible journey. Keep those sources coming, and we'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.